So, unfortunately, Aliyah Boston did not win the 1v1 termed Unrivaled. By the way, she was this close to making the finals, scoring 12 straight points versus Aliyah Gray. Aliyah Gray hit a crazy game winner. Like, I have to say, Aliyah Gray hit a crazy game winner to win that game. That being said, like, what Aliyah Boston showed was kind of mental in this 1v1 competition.
So, unfortunately, Aliyah Boston did not win the 1 versus 1 tournament at Unrivaled. By the way, she was this close to making the finals, scoring 12 straight points versus Aliyah Gray. Aliyah Gray hit a crazy game winner to win that game. That being said, what Aliyah Boston showed was kind of mental in this 1 versus 1 competition. The secret is out. Aliyah Boston's entire offseason strategy, the one she believed would cement her dominance, was completely flipped on its head. She entered her second year bulked up, ready to physically overwhelm opponents in the post, a classic move for a dominant big. But the moment she started truly integrating with the generational talent, everything changed. That bulk, once seen as an asset, was suddenly a glaring detriment to the relentless high-octane pace needed to truly redefine the WNBA. This is not just about getting faster, it is a fundamental re-engineering of her entire game, driven by an unexpected catalyst that is poised to unleash a version of Aliyah Boston the league has never seen.
What Aliyah Boston showed was kind of mental in this 1v1 competition. And again, wins and losses don't matter. What matters is the translatable skills. So what skills will translate between Aliyah playing right now and Aliyah in the WNBA. And it is, for me, it's the tangible skills. Like, the intangibles don't really matter. Anything that relies on space. Like, I don't care about the 1v1 competition because Aliyah Boston offensively, because Aliyah Boston literally just...
The WNBA is not ready for the speed she is about to bring. What Aliyah Boston showed was kind of mental in this 1 versus 1 competition. And again, wins and losses do not matter. What matters is the translatable skills. So what skills will translate between Aliyah playing right now and Aliyah in the WNBA? And for me, it is the tangible skills. Like, the intangibles do not really matter. Anything that relies on space, like, I do not care about the 1 versus 1 competition for Aliyah Boston offensively, because Aliyah Boston literally just this radical shift was not a slow, gradual adjustment. It was an abrupt, almost immediate realization catalyzed by playing alongside Caitlin Clark. The synergy forced a stark reevaluation to maximize their potential. Aliyah could not just be strong, she had to be fast. This epiphany led to a shedding of the very physical gains she had meticulously built, transforming her from a traditional back-to-the-basket powerhouse into a modern, agile force.
It is that lateral speed, and honestly, just sprint speed. The sprint speed and lateral speed is something crazy. And yes, Aliyah Gray did get her a couple of times. But like, as time went on, like in that last possession, she's pressing up on Aliyah Gray, and Aliyah Gray isn't burning her. Aliyah Gray is one of the fastest guys in the league. She made the All-WNBA first team last year. She is legitimately one of the toughest matchups for anyone. That being said, like, we're now at the stage where Aliyah Boston was, at least at times...
The league's fastest center was not born from a training camp plan. She was forged in the crucible of unexpected team dynamics, pushing her physical boundaries in ways few predicted. It is that lateral speed, and honestly, just the sprint speed. The sprint speed and lateral speed is something crazy. And yes, Aliyah Gray did her a couple of times, but as time went on in that last possession, Aliyah Boston was pressing up on Aliyah Gray. And Aliyah Gray is not a burner. Aliyah Gray is one of the fastest players in the league. She made the All-WNBA first team last year. She is legitimately one of the toughest matchups for anyone. That being said, we are now at the stage where Aliyah Boston was, at least at times. The initial glimpse of this evolution came during the recent 1-versus-1 competition. While she did not win the overall title, her performance was nothing short of mental. She scored an astonishing 12 straight points against Aliyah Gray, a WNBA first-team player known for her elite speed.
Looked to be the best perimeter defensive big. Like, in the WNBA, I don't know how many better players there are going to be than Aliyah Boston, like, as defenders. A'ja Wilson, maybe. And I don't think she's the rim protector and the, like, interior defender and team defender of an Alana Smith. I don't think she is. But, like, I think she's got, on defense, she could be a higher upside fee. There is, like, look,
This was not just a strong showing. It was a revelation of translatable skills that will redefine her impact. Even though a gimme shot for the win slipped away, the raw offensive power and defensive versatility on display hinted at a much larger transformation brewing beneath the surface. A preview of her impending dominance looked to be the best perimeter defensive big in the WNBA. I do not know how many better players there are going to be than Aliyah Boston as defenders. A'ja Wilson, maybe. And I do not think she is the rim protector and the interior defender and team defender of Alana Smith. I do not think she is. But I think she's got, on defense, she could be Nafisa. She could be a higher upside Nafisa. That same competition revealed Aliyah's terrifying defensive upside. She was not just holding her own against Aliyah Gray, one of the fastest and toughest matchups in the entire league. At times, she was doing a competent job of guarding her.
On defense, she could be a higher upside fee. There is, like, look, there is a world where Aliyah Boston ends up being the best player in the world. And I don't hate that. Like, I like watching the Indiana Fever. I like watching when Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston play, especially with the speed Aliyah Boston's going to be playing at now. They're going to be unguardable. Like, if the Fever win, if just like those Seattle Storm teams back in the day, even if Sue Bird was not the best player on those Storm teams, she was still remembered as the best player, even though she wasn't. Like, Sue Bird did not win a single championship as the best player on that championship.
This is not typical for a player of her size. More shockingly, she often looked like the best perimeter defensive big in the WNBA. Forget just protecting the rim. Aliyah is now switching screens, staying with guards, and disrupting offenses from the perimeter, a skill set that puts her in an elite category few centers can even dream of approaching. On defense, she could be Nafisa Collier. She could be a higher upside Nafisa. There is a world where Aliyah Boston ends up being the best player in the world, and I do not hate that. Like, I like watching the Indiana Fever, like watching when Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston play, especially with the speed Aliyah Boston is going to be playing at now. They are going to be unguardable. If the Fever win, just like those Seattle Storm teams back in the day, even if Sue Bird was not the best player on those Storm teams, she was still remembered as the best player even though she was not. Sue Bird did not win a single championship as the best player on that championship win. When you consider the defensive landscape, only a handful of players even enter the conversation.
Like, it is one of those things where Aliyah's improvement is, like, scary. I tweeted out this and I was like, Aliyah's improvement since Caitlin came in, or like, Caitlin's nothing to do with it. Yes, it fucking does. Aliyah Boston came into year 2 bulked up. She bulked up coming into year 2 to work as a back to the basket player. It was only after playing with Caitlin Clark where she realized, okay, we gotta run now. Me bulking up is actually a detriment.
A'ja Wilson might be mentioned, but even she does not offer the complete package of rim protection, interior defense, and team defense that Aliyah Boston is now showcasing.
Alana Smith is another name, but again, the comparison falls short. Aliyah's unique blend of lateral quickness, sprint speed, and defensive instincts position her to have a higher upside as a defender than almost anyone else in the WNBA, making her an unparalleled two-way threat. Like, it is one of those things where Aliyah's improvement is like scary. And I tweeted out this and I was like, Aliyah's improvement since Caitlin came in, like Caitlin has nothing to do with it. Yes, it does. Aliyah Boston came into year 2 bulked up. She bulked up coming into year 2 to work as a back-to-the-basket player. It was only after playing with Caitlin Clark where she realized, okay, we gotta run now. Me bulking up is actually a detriment. But her transformation is not confined to defense. Aliyah's offensive game is undergoing a quiet yet significant revolution. She is shooting more and critically better. The days of her stamping her foot during her shot, a subtle mechanic flaw, are gone. Her release looks smoother, more fluid, and more consistent. This is not just cosmetic, it is a fundamental improvement in her form, signaling a deliberate effort to expand her range and become a more versatile scorer beyond her already elite post game. Me bulking up is actually a detriment. And we have now got a situation where Aliyah is realistically the fastest center in the league, and she is going to take over. She is going to take over the WNBA next year. She is shooting more, she is shooting better, she stopped stamping her foot when she shoots the ball, her shot is looking better. She was always a good mid-range shooter, so it is all going from mid-range to 3. The most dramatic shift in her offensive arsenal is the ambitious leap from being a good mid-range shooter to a legitimate three-point threat. This is not a small adjustment. It requires intricate footwork, the ability to generate power efficiently from her lower body, and maintaining consistent arm movement. And the word is, Aliyah Boston has meticulously drilled these elements, and the results are starting to show. This expanded range will pull defenders out, open up the lane, and unlock a new dimension to the Indiana Fever's offense that opponents simply will not be able to contain. She is going to take over in the WNBA, and I don't think people realize just how good Aliyah Boston is going to be. If you consider A'ja Wilson a power forward, because look, how many years have they started Kia Nurse beside her? If you consider A'ja Wilson center, cool, she's best center. If you do not, for me, coming into next year, I thought last year Aliyah had cemented herself as above Jonquel Jones, and now I'm like, it's now A'ja, then a big gap, then Aliyah, then a big gap, then everybody else. And the gap between them, the implications for the Indiana Fever are staggering. With Caitlin Clark's unparalleled passing vision, Aliyah will be found for open three-pointers, punishing defenses that dare to sag off. Imagine the pick-and-pop opportunities, the space created for cutters like Kelsey Mitchell. This synergy is not just theoretical, it is a strategic masterpiece in the making. The only caveat, coaching decisions must prioritize this dynamic, ensuring Kelsey Mitchell is used as a cutter, not an ill-suited point guard, maximizing the talent around Boston and Clark. This offensive evolution, combined with her defensive prowess, is why whispers are turning into shouts. Aliyah Boston is going to take over the WNBA next year. This is not hyperbole, it is a cold, hard projection based on her demonstrable growth. People are underestimating just how good she is poised to become. Her development is not linear, it's exponential, fueled by a relentless drive to adapt and dominate the league. The league will soon realize that the player they thought they knew is rapidly becoming an entirely different, unstoppable force. Let me talk about her position, a point of baffling contention. Some still debate whether she's a center or a power forward, but here's the reality. If you classify A'ja Wilson as a power forward, then Aliyah Boston is unequivocally the best center in the league. She is a 6'3" player who consistently plays like she's 6'5", dominating physically and skillfully. The argument for playing her at power forward simply to sign another big center to take up space makes absolutely no sense in the modern WNBA landscape.
The league has already seen how a team transforms when a truly versatile big plays the 5. Look at the Las Vegas Aces. When Kia Stokes was off the floor and Asia Wilson shifted to center, they became exponentially better. Aliyah Boston embodies this same principle, but perhaps even more dynamically. She operates well in space, is a stretch 5, a running 5, can guard bigs, guard guards, and switch screens with ease. Her skill set is tailor-made for the pace and spread of today's game, rendering traditional center roles obsolete. The idea of bringing in a traditional space-eating center to pair with Aliyah is not just misguided, it's detrimental. Such a player would likely be a worse pick-and-roll option and would only get in everybody's way, hindering the very pace and flow that Aliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark thrive on. Unless you were talking about an Alana Smith or an Azura Stevens, who are essentially oversized 4s, Aliyah Boston must remain at center. Anything else is a strategic blunder.
This is not just about individual stats or highlight plays. It is about her ability to elevate an entire franchise. There is a genuine world where Aliyah Boston ends up being the best player in the world. The fever generated by her and Caitlin Clark playing together, especially with Aliyah's newfound speed, is palpable. The Indiana Fever are poised for an explosive future. Consider the historical parallels. Think of those Seattle Storm teams with Sue Bird and Lauren Jackson. Sue Bird, despite not always being the statistical best player on those championship rosters, that was often Lauren Jackson, is still remembered as the face of those dynasties. The same narrative could unfold for Aliyah Boston. She does not need to be the best player on paper to be the iconic, unbelievable force that fans flock to watch, the one who brings multiple rings to Indiana. What is truly scary about Aliyah's development is the exponential rate of her improvement. From her rookie year to now, it is a different player entirely. She came into her second year focused on bulking up for a specific traditional post game. But the dynamic environment with a new high-speed point guard in Caitlin Clark ignited a rapid self-correcting evolution. This capacity for accelerated learning and adaptation is a rare trait, one that separates good players from true legends. Before this season, Aliyah Boston had already cemented herself as a bulldog on the boards and a formidable interior presence. But now she is transcending that. The gap between her and the rest of the league's centers is widening dramatically. The hierarchy is shifting. Aliyah Boston, then Asia Wilson, then a significant drop to everyone else. This is not just about being good. It is about establishing a new tier of dominance, where she is not just a contender for best center, but potentially the undisputed leader. When the season tips off, do not just watch for the highlights. Watch for the subtle footwork, the quick defensive switches, the confident three-point attempts, and the relentless pace. And that is the truth, whether the WNBA or anyone else wants to admit it or not. Aliyah Boston came into year 2 bulked up. Playing with Caitlin Clark made her realize she had to run. That bulk was a detriment. She shed it. She is now the fastest center in the league. She is shooting better, she is switching screens, she is guarding guards, and she is about to take over the entire WNBA next year, whether the league is ready for it or not.